Navigating the child welfare system can be overwhelming, especially when each state has its own set of rules, policies, and acronyms. At CPS Protect Consulting Services, we understand the complexities and are here to help you every step of the way. We often see parents seeking advice on social media, but the information they receive can be inconsistent and sometimes even harmful. Different states have different laws and policies, and what works in one state may not work in another. For example, advice given to a parent in California may not be applicable to a parent facing the same allegations in Texas. The nuances in local laws and policies can make a significant difference in the outcome of your case. All state and municipal CPS agencies are governed by certain federal laws, such as the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, the Adoption and Safe Families Act, the Family First Prevention Services Act, and the Indian Child Welfare Act. However, it's the tiny differences in state and local policies that matter most. At CPS Protect Consulting Services, our expert child welfare consultants tailor their advice to your specific circumstances and local laws, ensuring you get the best possible outcome. Here's a quick overview of the CPS agencies across the United States. Alabama DHR, Department of Human Resources, Alaska OCS, Office of Children's Services, Arizona DCS, Department of Child Safety, Arkansas DCFS, Division of Children and Family Services, California CDSS, California Department of Social Services, Colorado CDHS, Colorado Department of Human Services, Connecticut DCF, Department of Children and Families, Delaware DFS, Division of Family Services, District of Columbia, CFSA, Child and Family Services Agency, Florida DCF, Department of Children and Families, Georgia DFCS, Division of Family and Children's Services, Hawaii CWS, Child Welfare Services, Idaho DHW, Department of Health and Welfare, Illinois DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, Indiana DCS, Department of Child Services, Iowa DHS, Department of Human Services, Kansas DCF, Department for Children and Families, Kentucky, DCBS, Department for Community-Based Services, Louisiana, DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, Maine, OCFS, Office of Child and Family Services, Maryland, DHR, Department of Human Resources, Massachusetts, DCF, Department of Children and Families, Michigan, MDHHS, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Minnesota, DCYF, Department of Children, Youth and Families, Mississippi, MDCPS, Mississippi Department of Child Protection Services, Missouri CDSS, Children's Division of the Department of Social Services, Montana CPS, Child Protective Services, Nebraska DHHS, Department of Health and Human Services, Nevada, DCFS, Division of Child and Family Services, New Hampshire, DCYF, Division for Children, Youth and Families, New Jersey, DCF, Department of Children and Families, New Mexico, CYFD, Children, Youth and Families Department, New York, OCFS, Office of Children and Family Services, North Carolina, DAHS, Department of Health and Human Services, North Dakota, DHS, Department of Human Services, Ohio, ODJFs, Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, Oklahoma DHS, Department of Human Services, Oregon DHS, Department of Human Services, Pennsylvania, DHS, Department of Human Services, Rhode Island, DCYF, Department of Children, Youth and Families, South Carolina, DSS, Department of Social Services, South Dakota, DSS, Department of Social Services, Tennessee, DCS, Department of Children's Services, Texas, DFPS, Department of Family and Protective Services, Utah, DCFS, Division of Child and Family Services, Vermont, DCF, Department for Children and Families, Virginia, DSS, Department of Social Services, Washington, DCYF, Department of Children, Youth and Families, West Virginia, BCF, Bureau for Children and Families, Wisconsin, DCF, Department of Children and Families, Wyoming, DFS, Department of Family Services. These cities also have their own CPS agencies, mostly independent of the state agency. Los Angeles, California, DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, New York City, New York, ACS, Administration for Children's Services. The federal government also has its own CPS agency, ACF, the Administration for Children and Families. While it doesn't do any of its own investigations of allegations of child maltreatment, it does provide supervision and guidance to the state CPS and municipal CPS agencies. Don't face CPS alone. Keep your family intact and CPS at bay with the team that knows the child welfare system better than anyone else. At CPS Protect Consulting Services, our expert child welfare consultants tailor their approaches to each client according to their unique needs, location, and circumstances, no matter what state you live in. Visit us online at cpsprotect.com or call us toll-free at 844-633-KIDS. CPS Protect Consulting Services, saving children, preserving families.